Today I'm starting my review from the inside of the brand new Mercedes-Benz EQS. This is the all-electric S-Class, but it's built new from the ground up. It's not that they've taken an old S-Class and removed the combustion guts and refilled it with EV parts. This is purposely built as an EV. And what makes it an EV? Well, it's the fact that it's got batteries, and a lot of them. It's got 107 kilowatts of actual energy storage within these batteries, which is a lot, because that's going to give you about 700 kilometers of range. 700 kilometers of range. But that amount of storage comes at a price, because this car is very heavy and it comes in at about 2.5 tons, and you can definitely feel how heavy it is when you're driving. This EQS comes with one motor and it's mounted to the rear axle, and it gives you 245 kilowatts and 565 newton meters of torque. And you need all of that power to lug these 2.5 tons around, and you can definitely feel how heavy it is, as I've said, because with that amount of power you should feel like you're in a complete rocket ship taking off. And don't get me wrong, this car is not slow by any means, but you can feel that it is being burdened by the weight. And I mean, it's not a bad thing. I mean, look, I'll put my foot down. Yo. And there's that addictive EV acceleration that you get, and oh man, you just want to keep driving this car and planting your foot down, because you just want to do this all day. Yo, this is so cool. And you're doing this in complete silence. You can hear the electric motor and the little whine that it gives off, which is quite cool, but it's completely silent in here. And they have also given this car extra soundproofing, so you do have less road noise, less wind noise. Actually, the wind noise is almost zero. When driving this on the highway recently, you can't hear a thing. And then talking a little bit more about the battery, as I've said, you do get a 107 kilowatt hour battery, which is going to give you about 700 kilometers of range. Sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less, depending on how you're driving. And charging this car is pretty easy. You can go to pretty much any charge station and fill it up however you want to, whether it's through DC charging or AC charging. But something that is cool, and I'm not even sure where you can do this in South Africa, if you even can, but you can link this up to a 200 kilowatt hour charger. And that's, I don't know, that's probably going to fill this thing in like 15 minutes. That's how ridiculous this technology is getting these days. And by simply navigating through the EQ menu that you have here in your infotainment, you can easily find your closest charge point at any given time. This is all GPS based, so everything comes with the car, so it is always linked up for you to search through and find anyone exactly when you need it. And then a little bit more about the electric system. So you can use the paddle shifters here on the steering wheel. That's going to help adjust the regenerative power that the car has. So when you do click up and up, the car is going to perform like it's a normal car. So when you take your foot off the accelerator, it's going to act like it's coasting. But the more you click the downshift button, that's when your regenerative power is going to get a little bit more firmer. So when you take your foot off of the accelerator, the car's going to slow down completely, and then you start one pedal driving all the time, which is something that you should be doing if you're in an EV, because you want that full experience. And by also doing this, you're charging the battery too, so that's pretty cool. And while we're still on the subject of braking, that's probably the biggest place where you do feel the weight of this car, because if you are doing any significant speeds and you do need to brake, you can feel that the car is struggling to carry that weight. It doesn't brake as quickly as what you would expect a luxury performance vehicle like this to brake in, so it does tend to lag quite a bit when putting your foot on the pedal. So you always want to keep that in the back of your mind when you are driving or doing any kind of speed, because with all of that go, you do need to rely on the whoa. And then speaking a little bit more about the drive quality, so this car is sitting on Amatic suspension, which is your air suspension. So when you do activate the different drive modes, it'll adjust the feel of the suspension accordingly. So in comforts, it'll loosen it up a bit, and in sports, it'll get a little bit firmer. But another way in which the Amatic system works nicely is that you are able to raise the level of the car accordingly. So if you are going over speed humps, or there's a particular driveway that you go to quite frequently, As you get to it, you can click the raise vehicle level button and the car will raise itself when you need it. And because this is all GPS based, it'll remember that. So the next time you get to that driveway or speed hump, the car will lift up, and that's something you'll never have to worry about again. Scrapes are forever gone. You can get a whole plethora of smart safety equipment in this car, but this car in particular is only equipped with your lane departure warning and lane keep assist and all of that sort of stuff. But I must say, when driving on the highway this past weekend, I was kind of let down by it. And while activating it with your adaptive cruise control, it didn't really keep the lanes like it should, but it was quite random with how it kind of jerked the steering wheel to keep me centered and that sort of thing. So I don't know, maybe there's a software fix for that, maybe I was using it completely wrong, who knows, but that was just something that I was a little bit let down by. And it's constantly telling me that the socket flap is open. It's not, it's closed. Driving in this car is also quite comfortable too. You are able to find your best seating position here by the electrically adjusted seats with memory. And your elbows also, they live their best lives here on these armrests. They're quite plush and quite soft, so they're very comfortable. And you have all of the adjustment that you need in the steering wheel too. So with this being what I feel is a driver's car and not really a be chauffeured around car, because it's so engaging and comfortable that you do want to be feeling this instant torque all the time. Sure, it's really an exhilarating drive, and it's awesome to see how far Mercedes-Benz has come from an EV point of view. I mean, this thing is nuts. Being able to drive and handle the way that it does is just outstanding, and for it to be a bespoke EV model, that's even better. I mean, this was built from the ground up to be an EV. It hasn't been modified from another car, but being built from the ground up with all of the research and development that goes into it would mean that it is quite expensive. So this EQS starts from 2.6 million rand. 2.6 million rand. You can buy 2 EQBs for the price of one of these. But enough of that, let's go take a look at the outside of this brand new model and see what it has to offer. We'll then take a look at the inside to see what all the specifications and the comfort is like. And then at the end we'll do the GDR test. We'll see if you should get it, drive it, or remove it from your list of cars that you're looking at. So let's go check it out. One last pull. Okay, now we can go look at it. Okay, so this is the outside of the brand new Mercedes-Benz EQS. What do you think? Leave me a note down in the comments and maybe we agree. But I don't know. I think I'm a fan of it. As you can see, they have done away with the actual grills because there's no engine inside here, so there's no need for there to be so much airflow. You can't actually open up the bonnet at all. Yeah, it's literally impossible. It is a nice clamshell bonnet, but you can't actually get into it, and I think that that's for a good reason, because I don't want you messing up with the electronics going inside you, so maybe that's a good thing. And with them making the bonnet inaccessible to people, you got to think, but how am I actually going to get wiper fluid in here to wipe my windscreen? They've thought about that. So in here, if it opens, there you go, is an actual place for you to pour in the water for your wiper fluid. So they've thought about everything. And then having a little bit of a closer look at the front grille here, you can see that there are the Mercedes-Benz stars, which is a really nice detail to go across here because it gives it a bit of texture. And if you really look closely, they've got like a little bit of a 3D effect, and that's quite cool. Then here you've got the standard Mercedes-Benz high performance headlamps, which have got that daytime running lights over here. But with the other EQ models, it actually runs all the way across. So I'm guessing that that's something that you need to spec when purchasing this one. And then looking at the overall shape of the car, you can see that it's been designed like an arrowhead. So it actually slips through the air as aerodynamically as possible so that you can reduce resistance and increase your range, because that's important with these cars. And then coming down to the side here, you've got these 21-inch wheels with this pretty cool blue pattern. It's almost like an electric circuit system that they've built into it, which is quite nice. And these do go up to about 22-inch. And then a little bit different to the other EQ models is that they've normally got a badge over there to say what model it is, but here you've got the EQS kind of built into your A-pillar, which is quite nice, and a nice way to use that little bit of space over there. It really stands out. It's quite cool. And then just like the S-Class, these handles actually tuck away flush, but when you need to get to the car, they open up. And then coming around the back of the car, you can see the infamous EQ light strip carries through on the back here, even though it's not in the front. So I don't know, I would like them to match. Then here you've got your EQS 450 badging, and then yep, no exhaust because electric. And you'd know that if you followed my Instagram, because you can watch that video up here. And then something else that really stands out for me are these tail lights. They've given this kind of 3D effect that gives them a lot of depth, and it really makes them stand out and they look really cool at night. You've also got this cool little lip on the back here to add a little bit of shape to the back. And then what else is cool is you press the logo and it unlocks. And this is probably the biggest boot I've ever seen. And when I say it's big, I mean it's big. And inside the boot here, you've got a whole bunch of nets and pockets and cubbies to put and store a whole bunch of things. And then down here in the middle is where you'll be able to find your different charging cables that you'll need. The one to plug into your house, and the other one that you can use for your portable charging whenever you go and find an AC charger somewhere. And yes, the most obvious thing that's missing is a spare wheel. But before I get in to show you around the inside of the car, I have to showcase how baller these frameless doors are. Whew. How cool is that? And inside the EQS, it's as S-Class as ever. You've got these amazing and super soft and supple black leather seats in the front. You've got this ambient lighting that wraps its whole way from one side of the car all the way to the front to the back. It's actually quite cool, and at night it just makes the whole inside glow. Something that is missing from this interior would be the hyper screen, and that's something that you can spec on your car when you do buy it, but it's a 150,000 Rand option. And it gives you this massive display in the front here, another one in front here for your passenger to see and do whatever they want to. It just makes this entire dash look like a spaceship. And if you have the money for this car, get it. With it being an EV, there's a whole bunch of sustainability bits to it. So there's a lot of man-made materials like this. It's not even Alcantara or leather, but it is really nice up front here that kind of wraps the dash and goes in front of the doors all the way to the back too. The detailing in this car is on another level. Just like the mini Mercedes-Benz stars you have on the front grille, it's kind of mirrored on the inside here too. So on your front dash, you've got, I don't know, hundreds of Mercedes-Benz stars that actually light up from the back depending on what your ambient lighting color is. The car does come standard with the Burmester audio, but it is the entry-level Burmester. It's not bad by any means, trust me. But again, if you are going to get this car, you need to get the premium version of the Burmester audio because that absolutely thumps. To add to the mood inside here, you've got this black roof liner that carries through from the front all the way to the back. You've got a panoramic sunroof. You've got this man-made material in the center console here too for your armrest. So when you click that button, it splits open in half, and it gives you quite a big space in here too with two USB Type-C sockets. And then carrying on looking down the center here, you've also got this slider that kind of opens and closes. You've got two USB Type-C slots here too, as well as wireless phone charging, two cup holders, and a nice little space there for really anything. And then underneath the sensor console, you've got even more space. And down here you can fit, I don't know, your handbag, whatever you want, and a little nice little strap to hold down, I don't know, anything. And because it's a Merc, you've also got your turbine air cons, which are quite cool, and they're very satisfying to click. Trust me. Yeah. And then from a digital screen point of view, you've got this huge infotainment in the middle here with shortcut buttons down on the bottom. And in front of you, you've got a really high quality, crisp digital driver's display that you can change the theme of. I think there's about 4 or 5 of them, but they don't really detract from or distract you from your driving. They're quite there and quite subtle, but they're really nice. And then having a quick look at the infotainment, but more specifically the EV function of it, which is what you'll find in the EQ menu. And here you'll be able to see everything from your range, what's using the most amount of energy in the car, so you can change those things, turn them off to give yourself more range when you need it. And then everything from charging, so depending on where you're charging the car, you can set things up accordingly too. You can see your range, how much battery percentage you've got left, as well as your consumption. So when you're driving, are you using energy? Are you saving energy? That's quite cool. And then you can also see some other cool things here. So if you go into the info section, you can see everything from an energy flow point of view. So are you using energy? Are you storing energy? Are you recouping anything? And that's quite cool. So that animates while you're driving. and then as well as the vehicle, so you can see the suspension parts. You can also see your angles of the car, your acceleration percentages, your braking. So you do also have access to your climate control at any given time, because they've dedicated a section of the screen to that, which is quite nice. You don't have to dig into the menus to find it. But if you are wanting a little bit more information than what's displayed here, from your fan speed and your temperature, auto and that sort of thing, you can click climate menu and it brings up a more advanced climate section for you to choose from. So you can adjust where the fan speed comes from. You can also adjust what happens in the second row at the back. You also have a quick shortcut menu down here, which if you click the car icon, it brings up the things that you might need to access quite quickly, like being able to activate and deactivate your lane keep assist, as well as the one that will only turn on when you're actually driving, but it's the raised vehicle level. So if you're going over a high speed hump or going into driveways, you can select that when you are at that point, and it'll raise the car and it'll save that into the GPS. So when you get there next time, it will remember and raise the car automatically. You've also got automatic adjustable seats, as you would expect in a Mercedes-Benz, and they do have memory function, as well as your electronic window switches down here that you can also access and adjust your side mirrors to. Keeping with the storage theme, as I've mentioned, you've got a big cavity underneath your center console. You do have bins in the side doors, but they're actually really small. I mean, I barely fit this bottle, and this is an S-Class, so I don't know what that's about. And then looking at the glove box, you effortlessly press the button and it's damped so nicely when it opens. And yeah, that's quite big inside there, so lots of storage for you. You've got heaps of legroom. I mean, I can stretch my legs out so comfortably here. The seats are super soft, so you can definitely do a lot of traveling back here. You do have a little soft pillow in the back here. Obviously you want to make your head as comfortable as possible when you're being chauffeured around, but as I've said, with this EQS, you want to be the driver, but if there's an opportunity for you to be in the back, you'll be super comfortable back here. You've got soft touch materials all over. You don't have any scratchy plastics in hand reach, really. Oh, actually you do. It's down here in the center. But that seems to be the only place that you can really touch where you do feel cheaper plastic, which isn't a bad thing, because it's down there where you might kick it with your feet and things like that, so you don't want to scuff up anything. That's nice. But down in the middle, you do have your own automatic climate control, so you can set for each passenger in the back here, depending on what temperature and speed that they want. You can do that. You've also got pockets in the front here to store anything you might need. You've got door bins in the side here, which aren't that big, surprisingly, but you could put a couple things in there. You've also got the ambient lighting that carries through into the back too, and you do have a center armrest. Oh, but here's the test. Will these open up the first time that I click it? Because on the other cars it doesn't. It always gets caught up somehow. So let's see. It got caught. Now I got it. There you go. And it opens up, and once it is open, you do have a slot for a phone or a tablet, as well as 2 drinks. But I do think that this is a very basically spec'd EQS, because you don't have the tablet function in the armrest. These are also the most basic seats. You can't recline them either. So yeah, if this is as basic as what it gets, it's nice. And then just to flex on people, you can talk to the car. Hey Mercedes,
how may I help you?
Change the ambient lighting to blue.
Okay, I'm changing the color.
Hey Mercedes,
how may I help you?
Change the ambient lighting to green.
Okay, I'm changing the color.
That is cool. Okay, I've come to the end of my review, and I hope that you've enjoyed this review on the Mercedes-Benz EQS. This was a really cool car to drive for a week, and I must say I'm slowly growing to be more addicted to the feeling of an EV than I thought that I would. So man, these EVs are doing things on me, and I hate to admit it. But anyway, it's time to do the GDR test. So should you get the car? Should you drive the car, as in just go for a test drive, or remove it from your list of cars that you're looking at? And I would definitely say drive the car. I would go for a test drive, see if you're in the market for a super luxury saloon EV like this. We don't get the Tesla Model S in South Africa, but this is probably going to be its closest rival, or the closest experience to driving one that we would get here in South Africa. So go out and see if it's a car that you want. Otherwise, I mean, there's growing to be a lot more out there now. There's the new BMW i7 II, I haven't driven it, but I've heard really good things about it. But it's just that it's really a lot of money. And when you start putting all of the optional extras and that sort of stuff onto it, like the hyper screen, and the luxury seats in the back that recline, and everything that makes it a proper modern high-tech S-Class, I think I might have been swayed towards telling you to get it. But because I think it's missing those elements, it does sometimes just give off general C-Class vibes just because of the screens and that sort of thing. Trust me, it's far more than just a C-Class. But I think it needs all those other extras to elevate it a lot more. But if it's based on performance, then this thing is leaps and bounds ahead of it. So thanks guys, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please will you drop a like, and don't forget to subscribe. I've got a lot more videos coming up. I'm packed to the brim with test cars, so there'll be videos out every week, maybe twice a week. So make sure that you don't miss them. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.